Welcome to Launch. Today, the podcast focus on what it takes to get your new business or startup to $1 million or more in revenue. From marketing tactics to incredible guest interviews, we focus on sharing behind-the-scenes insight from masters in their field. If you want to grow the revenue for your startup or your business, you don't want to miss today because today's guest created the world's first portable traction solution for athletes worldwide and is thriving in, admittedly, a pretty weird physical goods market. Dylan Jensen is the founder and CEO of Soul, a sports equipment startup that created the world's first portable traction mat for hardwood athletes. Within less than 12 months of launching, his product is now used by pro, college, high school, and youth teams across basketball, volleyball, pickleball, futsal, wrestling, and fencing globally. Dylan, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. I always like to begin by asking, why do you do what you do?
That's a great question. Being in the sports world is just something I grew up in. Played a lot of sports growing up. My brothers are college coaches. My dad's a high school basketball coach. I still play multiple times a week, and not just basketball, but try to get into other sports as well. And so this product was just something that resonated with me because it solved a solution that I was constantly facing. And on the other side of that, I just really enjoy entrepreneurship. I like having something that's mine, that I feel like I control it and I control the decisions that are being made. And I get to be the one who bears the stress, but also the excitement of the wins that comes with that.
So when I talk to founders who are in physical goods versus founders who do software, there tends to be a very different mindset. The founders who do software will talk about, oh yeah, it's hard, and I build this business, but we're succeeding and we're thriving. And then physical goods founders tend to be like, I did this because I hate myself. Because the complexity of shipping a physical good is, boom, this much higher than the complexity of shipping software. Because I can easily, on my software, be like, oops, that feature's no good. Let me push an update in the cloud and it goes away.
Yeah.
But if you get something wrong with the injection mold for Soul Gripz, you are proper screwed. So, with that said, you didn't just choose the hard path of, I'm going to make a physical good because you hate yourself, but also you're defining a category that doesn't exist.
Correct.
No one goes out and says, man, I wish I could rub a glue stick on the bottom of my shoes so I would quit slipping around when I played basketball. So you said you like entrepreneurship. That's fine. But why do you hate yourself enough to do both of the two hard things?
So for me, number one, I like challenging myself. It gives me something to wake up for in the morning. I already have 2 kids. That's challenging enough, and all the other things that come with that. But I like the challenge of it, right? It gets me thinking. It gets me exerting my brain. Having said that, the solution is new, yes. So there takes a large amount of customer education that comes with that. I'm trying to explain what it is. But traction mats have been around for a while, right? They have really big ones that exist within industrial settings.
Yes.
They use them on the side of Division 1 and Division 2 sports and pro sports and things like that. Now, what they didn't have was something that any athlete could take with them, excuse me, whenever they go play. So somebody who's a youth player through high school, they're not going to have access to that, especially if they're traveling. And someone like me who's not overly athletic but likes to play still needs something better than just wiping their shoes with the bottom of their hand. So for me, the reason that I got into it was because I love the challenge, yes, but also I saw that there was a need for this solution. And when I first had the thought, I thought, oh, somebody for sure must have come with that idea already. And I looked it up and there was nothing out there for anything like this. And so I just decided to go for it because there was really no reason not to. And it does come with a large level of complexity with trying to find the right place that can manufacture the product in the way that we need it manufactured. And luckily for us, we live in a world now where finding those people is a lot easier than it was 10, 15 years ago because of the software that you're talking about. So there are apps now, there are websites, people have their websites, people have all kinds of different ways of communicating to make sure we're building things in the right way. And that's made my life a lot easier.
So let me ask, you've got the idea of traction mat. You're right, that's not new. The idea of portability and convenience was not part of the equation. It was always, oh, you want one of these. 1, give me 40 grand. And 2, I guess a forklift to put it in. Like, this is a whole different thing, right? How do you get from this exists, but it's inconvenient. What's the aha moment that makes you go, what if I just had one I carried with me and, oh, I can actually make that?
Yeah, I still remember actually, I was in grad school and we played probably 2 or 3 times a week, maybe even more than that. Actually, I didn't have kids at the time. So my life just, I would go to
It's
school
easier then.
and
Yeah.
then I would just go exercise and play basketball. It's like, I can't even remember that life anymore. But I remember vividly one day, and I was getting more and more interested in entrepreneurship through grad school and things like that. And I was playing one day, and we always wipe our shoes with our hands, right? We're constantly doing that to clean off our shoes to try to get better grip. And I thought to myself, gosh, I wish that we had one of those big traction mats on the side of the court so I could just go step on it right now because the courts were pretty dirty. You wipe it off with your hands, but then your hands have a bunch of dirt and then you can't grip the ball. And it's not a good solution. So then I thought, no, I'm not going to go buy one of those big ones because I don't want to have to carry it in my car and then all the way up here onto campus. And then I thought, man, I wish there was just like a little case that I could put it in and I could just close it and then I could just take it with me wherever I go. And that was the aha moment for me. A thing that I had been doing for 20 years or somewhere around there of wiping my shoes with my hands, spitting on the floor, putting water on the floor. I've heard people using hand sanitizer to get some stickiness on their shoes. There were all kinds of different solutions that I had heard of through the years that just weren't super viable. And so that's when I had this idea and I thought, oh, I should look it up. And nobody had done it. So I decided I should do it.
Gotcha. So I don't know a lot about the traction mat business. How does one maintain and tend to these things? How long do I expect my Soul Gripz to last once I have bought my foldable book of traction?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And funny enough, there's actually one product that's a little bit smaller, but it's gel based. And I didn't like that one because you have to clean it and you got to put it in your bag, which means then the gel is going to get all over your stuff. And I thought, I don't want to deal with that. So with this one, there are 30 sheets on each side. So 1 foot for each side. And there's 60 sheets total. And when we've tested it, and it depends a little bit on how dirty the floor is and how much someone takes care of their shoes, but it lasts about 30 uses per sheet. So it goes for quite a while. And whenever the top sheet gets dirty, you just rip it off and there's a new clean one underneath. And then you can just buy the replacement sheets. You don't have to buy the whole product again. So we get some returning customers that way because they just need to buy more sheets when they run out. So there's zero cleanup. It's fully portable. They can take it with them. And I wanted there to be zero cleanup for sure because this is meant to be for younger athletes who I have seen, like, they don't even wash their jerseys. And so I have chances of them washing off their traction board or whatever it may be.
That is fair. My son is about to turn 10. It is almost every night when it's, hey, time to take your bath. Why don't you take my bath?
Yep.
Because you're 10 and you're stinky.
That's very active.
Or
I'm
he'll
still
come
at
in
the
with
age,
his
luckily.
arms gray, like all the way up to his elbow, which is gray from dirt. I'm like, you've got to take a bath. But why? I'm like, look at you. You look like you're a different color human now.
Kids don't like getting clean. It's gross.
They don't, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. So you've done something. You've done the hard path. You've made a physical product. Done the hard path. You're defining a new category. But what blows my mind is you went from zero to pro teams, college teams, youth leagues in under 12 months. Your distribution speed is crazy. What is your secret to getting distribution like this at this scale and at this speed?
Yeah, so for me, I think, and I always encourage people who are interested in entrepreneurship, focus on a world that you know, right? Something that where you have contacts and you know what the market looks like and you know how to communicate with your potential market, with your target market. So for me, I grew up in sports. Like I said earlier, my brothers are still in sports. My dad is in sports. My cousins all played sports, and not everyone's no one's really like a pro or anything like that. We've just been around it for so long that when I had the idea and I started building it, I knew exactly who to go to first, right? And so right off the bat, I was able to go talk to my brothers and say, hey, I want to get this in front of some of your players and start getting some feedback on it. And so the first run that we did of the product was like 100 units or something like that. And I basically just shipped those out to people I knew that were trainers, that were players, that were coaches, that were athletic directors. And I just started to talk with everyone I could that I had gathered over the years, these different contacts. And that then leads to other people who become interested in it and other players start seeing it. And you find some people online who are willing to talk about it without needing a ton of money. And so trying to find affiliates who are on that micro influencer level where they want to get started, that was really where I put a lot of my time, was lower level college athletes who aren't making tens of thousands of dollars, but they want to. So they want the experience of sharing the product and getting it out there. And then it was just the grind of running things on social media, seeing how people react to it, responding to questions, making sure that people know that I'm there and that I'm a present human. I had a lot of people who messaged me and said, "Oh, I'm going to buy it just based off of your response time," because I try to respond to any email or message that I get within an hour or two, because I want people to know there's a real person. And that was, for me, a big part of our branding, was making sure they knew we're a legit company. So those are the things that I took on right when I started.
Man, response time under an hour. I don't manage that to my own team members, much less to cold emails coming in.
It's stressful. It's a little bit stressful sometimes, and I don't always hit that mark, but I do aim for that. I keep my email in front of me and my messages in front of me, so that the moment I get one, if I can, I'll respond to it right then.
Wow, that's a commitment, man. So you're selling on Amazon. You're selling on Shields.
In
Skills?
Shields, yeah.
Shields. You sell direct to consumer. I generally advise any startup that they succeed by doing one thing really well and adding multiple distribution channels, even with Amazon FBA to manage logistics.
Yeah,
It's a lot. How do
yeah.
you keep multi-channel distribution going without getting killed on margins?
Yeah, it's a good question. So that was a big part of when I came up with the idea. I thought I want it to be profitable, right? It needs to be a business that is manageable, because of the fact that there's a lot of upfront cost that goes into it. And we're paying for shipping for the products, and there's all the fun stuff that goes with running a physical goods business. And so we made sure that our margins sit around 90%, 90 to 95%. And that way, not only can we run discounts and promotions and all these different things that then make it even more feasible to purchase, but we can also push it into wholesale stores like Shields. And we're working on a deal with Dick's Sporting Goods right now, but we can cut the margin in half or lower, and we can still be okay on our margins because we focused on making sure the product was a good product that solves a problem, but not done so expensively that we can't sell it for a lower price if we need to. So we manage everything that way. That was the big concept up front. And then from there, we're going to have to grow our team at some point. Luckily, right now with FBA, I just ship stuff off to them and they manage all of it. So there's not a ton for me to do there. Deals is really in a testing phase right now. So it's not like we're sending them hundreds or thousands of units every month. They're testing it out and seeing how it goes. And then it'll be the same with Dick's Sporting Goods. And then for the stuff we get on our website, we just fulfill it right here from my house. So actually, while I'm working during the day, if my wife has an hour while the kids are taking a nap, she'll come in here, prep all the boxes, and they'll take them to the UPS store. And it's funny, actually, because my 5-year-old is very tired of going to the UPS store because they have to go pretty much every day. And he gets upset pretty much every day that they have to go.
Oh, man. I don't want to go to the post office. Yeah, I can imagine.
Exactly.
Imagine. Actually, that I think brings up an interesting question, right? Physical products are capital intensive. There's inventory, there's shipping, there's manufacturing, there's setup for production line, there's the inevitable, hey, QC has rejected 50% of this line because there was something wrong with the registration and so they're all printed wrong, whatever. How do you, when you run a software company, you can generally bootstrap to $1 million ARR because your upfront costs are really low.
Yeah.
How do you manage to grow and scale a hardware business without giving away a bunch of equity, without killing yourself on you never make any money because you're putting it all back into the business? How do you balance all this out to make, as you said, a profitable business, but you still have all those upfront costs, which I'm going to guess, not knowing a bunch about your business, but somewhere between 250 to 750K to get this thing off the ground?
Yeah, luckily not even close to that much, to be totally transparent, which is awesome. Yeah. So because we focused on creating a product that was really affordable and pretty cheap to make, or affordable to make, I guess I should say, it made it so that we could start off pretty low on our costs. So I actually got a $25,000 loan from a family member and use that to do our first order of about 3,000 units. And so with 3,000 units, because our margins are really good,
Yeah,
We
no
were
question.
able to then sell out of that 3,000 units within a 2 to 3 months and take the profits from that and put it back into an order of, I think we did 12,000 units or somewhere around there. So actually not super intensive to be able to put the money up front to get things going because
Yeah.
it's not a super complicated product. It didn't require any really complicated molds or anything like that.
That's the
We
one that
basically,
gets me is I would have thought just tooling up an injection mold, a custom one, usually 25K, but then
yeah,
you've also got to have the CAD designer to make the mold. That's another 8 to 10K. Then you've inevitably got the revisions, and I guess
yeah.
possibly you like that 25K loan to me. I'm like that's maybe the cost of the injection mold, but then you still have to make stuff, and you've got to have the paper, the grips that go into it,
Yeah.
and it's quite impressive to have gotten all that started up for just 25K.
Yeah, and I think that's where the question comes in is, okay, you have an idea for a product and this is how you want to build it. Is that actually how you have to do it? So for example, when I first had the idea, it was a case, right? It was a plastic case in my mind that closed. I went to my buddy who's a 3D designer for Under Armour and I said, "Hey, I have an idea. Tell me what you think about this." And I had a very preliminary CAD design that my brother-in-law had made for me for $50. And I took it to him and I said, "Hey, this is the idea." And he said, "It won't work because of this." And he went for the why it wouldn't work. And what we landed on was we needed something a little bit more flexible, right? And so the materials that we chose, instead of a plastic case that would have required a mold and a really good CAD design, we went and we said, "Hey, let's find the materials that sheets can stick to on this side, but then a material that the sheets won't stick to so that we can then close something that separates the sheets." And if you look at a video or a picture of it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But basically, there's three panels and two of them have the sheets, and then there's a third that goes in between. So when you close it, it separates them. And so
Oh,
essentially,
I
what that
do see
allowed,
that. When
yeah,
I saw that, I thought it was an injection molded case, but you're right. It's like an old fashioned trapper keeper from back in the
And so
day.
what we actually did is I went and found a bag company. So I said,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is the materials that we need. How can you make it for us?" And they made our first run by sewing those pieces together. So it's just a
Yeah.
VCP and a vinyl. And then we actually put masonite in the middle of it, just that
Give it some
clipboard
structure.
material to give it some
Yeah.
structure. And so that kind of allowed us to do it without having to do a ton of cost up front. Now, would I love to do something that's even sturdier? Yes. But from a cost perspective, it's just a little bit too high right now. And the product works really well. It's
And
very
goes
light,
in
it's
place. Yeah.
durable. Exactly. And so that's how we started it that way. So luckily, it didn't require hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was just,
No.
okay, let's find a minimal amount, let's put it into it, let's sell out of that, and then let's move on to the next thing from there and just keep bootstrapping it that way.
Founders, listen up to that right there. Came with an idea, also had an expert who gave you the insight on this, which was actually
Yes.
probably a huge win because if you'd
Huge.
just gone off on your own, you would probably have tried for the injection molding and then been like, oh God,
Yes.
I need 100K. Right.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he was invaluable at the start of the business. Having somebody who not only knew how to design the product, but how to create a model of what it was going to be. He actually, I have it upstairs. I could run and grab it if you want me to, but I have the original ones of what he cut out material and he cut the
Oh,
pieces out and
wow.
sewed it together and he measured it. And I have all the original prototypes. And then we took it to a bag company and we said, "This is what we want to do." And then we discovered materials and things like that. So yeah, he was very helpful in helping me get it off the ground.
And that makes all the difference when you are competing against a wet towel or hand sanitizer that you're able to, especially once you discount, bring it down to a price where it's a superior product and pricing is certainly affordable for someone's primary hobby. So
Yes. Yes.
brilliant. I love the way you cut away everything you didn't need and still managed to arrive at the profit. That's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That was the goal, right? How do we make it profitable? How do we make this
yeah,
just the best product possible for the cheapest amount so that we can make it a business that can grow and we can get it into more people's hands?
yeah. So let me ask you though, because you mentioned you working with your friend who's a designer at Under Armour, Adidas or Under Armour or any of the big players out there, they could do something really similar and eat your lunch. How do you outmarket them? What's your moat? How do you stay building a business that you know will thrive when any of these big guys could, in theory, crush you under their boots and not even notice they did it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And that was part of the reason that this product was so interesting to me is because nobody was doing it. The big companies that you're talking about, be Adidas, Nikes, Under Armours, they don't make traction mats, actually. Typically, the traction mats are made by much, much smaller companies like Slipknot, or there's a company called Step and Grip. Dick's Sporting Goods makes one of their own. Other companies make sprays that you can spray the bottom of your shoes that I've never really cared for. I haven't found them to be overly effective, but there was nobody really big in that space. But I did know that there were going to be copycats. And so pretty much the moment that we started selling, I started applying for a patent,
Gotcha.
and have been working on that patent ever since. So that was a while ago. I actually have some copycats now on Amazon already that are stealing the idea. And so I, at first, that really frustrated me. And then I was like, I knew this was going to happen because it's not a super complicated product and it sells well because people want it. So now I just have to keep working on that patent so that then I can go kick those guys out when I get that finalized.
Gotcha. I've heard very discouraging things about trying to get Amazon to enforce its patents.
Mm.
Or, sorry, enforce your patents. They just tend to go, life's tough, right? It's a Chinese company. They don't have to abide by our patent law. Good luck. Do you Have you heard similar things? Do you believe your patent will make you more defensible, or are you doing this more to protect you against domestic competition?
Yeah, I think both. I'm not quite as worried about overseas competition. And the reason that I say that is we have focused on building a brand. And I know every company says that, right? Every company says we're not just a product, we're a brand. But that was a really big part of this is because it was a new company and a new product, I should say. I knew that it was going to have to be something that had branding behind it where people looked at it and went, oh, that's a legit company, right? And so they see our ads, they see our website, and there's more to it than just an Amazon store that has a picture of the product. And so that was the big idea. So I don't worry quite as much about overseas stuff. I don't even worry about people quite as much who are only on Amazon because we're building something bigger than that. One of the guys who's copycatting me is like here in Utah with me. He's like an hour and a half up the road.
Go to his house,
Um,
beat him up.
I thought about it multiple times. I decided probably not my best idea.
Probably not. But
Um,
you should at least stick his face to a wall with the soul. Be like,
I
there.
had I had many a morning, like early in the morning, I'd wake up, be so mad that this guy was just stealing my idea and just yeah. You know, like when you get in the shower and you have these visions of this argument and this fight you get into with someone
Yes.
that you know is never
Yes.
actually going to happen. Had many of those, yeah.
Yeah.
And ultimately decided it's not worth the time, it's not worth the effort to put into it to worry about this guy. All that I can really focus on is getting my Amazon store to look even better, getting my product placement or listing to look even better, and then continue focusing on building the brand, getting this in front of more people. Where we have a really big advantage is that we are being used by big names. And so this summer, I'll have multiple photos and videos of NBA players, active NBA players who are going to be using the product. And we plan to really soak that for all it's worth, right? Put everything in and be able to show people, look at how legit this company is. Because at the end of the day, I can't control whether Amazon is going to actually enforce it. All I can really do is focus on the things that I can control, and that's building what I have. So I went to the Amazon guy because I wasn't planning to go to Amazon as quickly as I did, but I had a guy from Amazon reach out to me and say, hey, I work for Amazon. I want you to get your listing up. And so I've been working with him on it. So they're backing me a little bit, but I can't really do anything until I have a patent. So we'll see how it
That's
goes.
fair. That's fair. All right. You talk about you grew up in a family full of athletes. You mentioned your brothers are coaches and athletic directors, and you love entrepreneurship. When you were figuring out your path as a founder, did you know that you would be building something in sports, or was that just everything came together at the right time?
No, not at all. Yeah, I actually went to grad school for my master's of HR and my MBA. So I
HR.
have,
Oh, wow.
yeah, two master's degrees. I graduated and I went and I worked in HR and I quickly discovered I did not want to be in HR. That was just me personally. It was not a it was not a space that I was particularly enjoying. What I really enjoyed was the consulting aspect and being able to look at businesses and say, how do we make things more efficient? How do we make your processes better? Stuff like that. And so I ended up doing a lot of consulting and coaching for Fortune 100 companies and ended up doing, I have LinkedIn learning courses that are up on these different aspects that I teach about. But all along, I've just enjoyed this. How do you build a really good business? How do you make your business processes better? And how do you make them more effective? So No, I had no idea that I was going to end up in the sports world. Obviously, it was always something that I was very passionate about, but I didn't go to school to try to build a sports based company. I went to school because I thought I was going to be in HR for years. And then as I kept going, I learned, oh, I really like entrepreneurship. I really like process improvement. I really like consulting and seeing a business grow. And so it was just this combination of things that came together for me that led me to this point.
Ah, all right. So you've mentioned in this call you still play, right? Open gym when you can.
Hmm.
Most founders find that with business and especially with family, that the time to do anything other than business and family, it all evaporates away. How do you stay connected to the athletic experience that made you start this company
Yeah.
while running a company, dealing with kids, some of whom are sick sometimes? Like, how do you fit all these pieces together?
Yeah, I've always been really big on physical exercise. I don't think I'm the most in shape person in the world, but it's been something that brings me a lot of mental peace. So even when I'm working full time, I try to find an hour to go lift for a while, or I'll take a call while I'm walking on the treadmill or whatever it may be. My kids, our neighbors laugh at us because they're like, gosh, you guys make your kids go on a lot of walks. Because we go on 2 or 3 walks a day. We stick them on their bikes and we go for walks. So we're very active in trying to keep ourselves moving. And we try to do that with our kids wherever possible because they want to be with us and we want to be together as a family, which is great. With basketball, it's a little bit harder, but what I've come to is that I have to play early mornings or late nights. So I used to play twice a week, and I go Wednesdays at 9 p.m. and Saturdays at 6 a.m. And if I'm going to play more than that, it's going to be at 6 a.m. or earlier. Like yesterday,
6
I
a.m.
actually
late
want
night
to.
is tough.
Yeah, and the thing is, I would prefer to play in the mornings than in the evenings. I'm more of a morning person anyway. So
Okay.
I'll go play for an hour and a half and get my exercise in for the day and feel good about myself. But it does take some exertion. It's hard to balance everything, definitely. And then there are weeks where I don't get to do all the things that I'd like to do.
Gotcha. Yeah. What was it? 3 years ago, I did a half marathon, and then
Ooh,
as
nice.
yeah, and as business ramped up, and as kids got to be more work than they were, I don't think I may have run combined in this year the distance of a half marathon, but not all in one
Okay, there
go,
you go.
just
Yeah,
total. Definitely
yeah,
changed things up. Like my wife got me a Garmin watch for fitness tracking.
there
I'm
you
like,
go.
yeah,
I
all
like
it
those
does
ones.
is every hour it yells at me and says, "Move, fatty." That's my extended. I do have
It's
my treadmill back here. I try to take 1 or 2 meetings a day walking.
Yeah, you do something, right? You find ways to get yourself moving, but it's hard to find that. And running is a hard one, right? Half marathons. I have never done a half marathon. I think I did my first 10K, was it last year? I did it on my own because I wanted to see how I felt. Because some people are like, oh yeah, once you start running, you catch a bug and you just don't want to stop. No, I wanted to be done the entire time. I hated every second of doing that run. So I'll go running only very periodically. I exercise in any other way.
I don't like running at all, but I do. I used to do a fair bit of it. I just did it. It's like the Catholics say that mortification is good for the soul, right? It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You do the unpleasant thing because you're accruing virtue. People are like, oh, you get a runner's high. I'm like, no, I don't. It's
Yeah.
miserable the entire time. Never once am I like, man, I would like to run more than the 10K I just finished. No, but it
With
was
you on that one.
motivating.
I don't thrive in a running environment. I'm like, I can go play basketball and do sprints and take breaks. I can go lift, I can go on walks on treadmills. I'll run a 5K and I'll feel okay at 5K. If I go beyond that, it's way too much for me.
I did my half marathon with literally a buddy of mine. Hey, I bought a ticket for my brother for him to do a half marathon, and he refused. The half marathon's next week. Do you want to do it? And I
Yeah.
went, yeah, okay. And
Okay.
my wife was like, you'll die. You've never run more than a 10K before. And I went, how hard can it be? And so I ran it, and it was fine. I was
You're
sore, but
still
it was
alive.
fine. Still alive, didn't die. Yeah. No, okay. Let me ask you one last question. You can probably
Sure.
tell from my background behind me. I like a good book. I think founders should be putting information in their head, whether it's a book, a podcast, an audiobook, or whatever. I think getting info in your brain sparks a new idea that
Hmm.
helps founders be better. What's a resource you would tell a founder to listen to, watch, read, whatever, to be better as a founder?
I'm gonna give a weird answer on this one.
I'd love to hear it.
I
So,
think I view this strangely. I actually don't read a lot of business books. I don't read a lot of self-help books. I always fall asleep when I am reading them. So when I'm
Oh,
reading, I end up reading fantasy books. I actually just started reading Game of Thrones. So I'm on book 2 right now.
oh, that's a good one.
So
I've read them.
I I read these ones because they help me escape and they make me feel like I'm in a creative space. Um, because I spend my whole day with a full-time job and with my business and with my kids and with my family, and I'm trying to find time to exercise and all these things. So I spend more time doing that. What I have found, honestly, was the best resource for learning to start a business was watching Shark Tank. And
Oh
the
yeah,
reason that I say that is because they're always drilling them on these questions, right? They're drilling them on what needs to happen. How profitable are you? How long are you doing it? How are you going to make it grow? And that gets me thinking about what I'm going to do. And the other reason that's really nice is that I can turn that on and set it down and listen to it while I'm in the car. And I can be busy and running all the errands that I need to run and still be getting that information. So I personally don't do a lot of business books or self-help books. I focus on things that I can see and watch and listen to online from really high level professionals that I can soak in that information. And then if
yeah.
I'm reading something, it's going to be something that helps me to decompress because I just have too many other things that are going on in my mind.
That's phenomenal. I love the Game of Thrones series. Have you read The Wheel of Time?
No, I haven't actually. I started The Wheel of Time. I read the first book, and then I was talking to a good friend, and he said, just know that when you get to books, I can't remember what it was, 6 through 9 or
There's
something like
14
that.
of them. Yes, there's
Yeah,
very
he
few.
said it's a very slow burn, and I was like, I don't have that much time or that much patience. So I ended up
That's
not reading
fair.
the whole thing.
That's fair. It is a lot. I read them all one summer in between jobs. It was the summer that the last book came out, and I went,
Okay.
all right, if I'm ever going to do it, it's now because I'm unemployed, and this was, I don't know, 12 years ago, something like that. So
Yeah.
read through
Yeah.
them all. My wife loves the series, but it's a lot, and I read annoyingly quickly. I can read like Game of Thrones style books is maybe 2 days of reading if I'm going at it like that.
No, no way for me, man. I'm such a slow reader. I think that's probably another reason that I fall asleep when I read self-help books is I'm a very slow reader.
See, your fantasy that is Game of Thrones is a whole bunch of these all stabbing each other in the face, but the storyline is great. I can recommend to you the very opposite side of things.
Sure.
If you haven't read Patrick Rothfuss's Wise Man's Fear, and then Slow Regard for Silent Things, and I forget what the third one is. It's fairly short. George R. R. Martin tells good stories, but the
Uh-huh.
language he uses is entirely uninspired. Like every sentence just lands with a wet thud. He doesn't have a
Okay.
lightness to his prose, right?
Yeah.
Patrick Rothfuss writes every sentence is beautifully crafted. The stories are not nearly as intricate,
Okay.
but the journey, sentence to sentence, paragraph to paragraph, is more fun. I like to
Okay.
read even like fantasy. I read fantasy SF, like whatever, more than I read business books too, because business books are generally every business book has one idea worth reading, and I
And
will
then
page through them.
150 pages
Yeah,
of crap.
of garbage. Yeah, and so I will generally like I'll be at the bookstore. I will read through them. There's the chapter titles can frequently just tell you. You're like, oh, here's the chapter I want to read. I'll read it, put it back, like I got all I needed. Or even better yet, just listen to a podcast that the author goes on. He'll tell you everything that you would get from the book,
It's
and
true.
you're done.
It's so true.
So I don't read business books much either, but I do sci-fi, I do like fantasy. Patrick Rothfuss is great. Like
Okay.
George R. R. Martin, he will never finish the series. So if you
Okay.
are demanding the book series be finished before you start, don't.
Well, I'm about to say I'm glad you're recommending books because I just finished I read a lot of Brandon Sanderson as well. So I just
Oh, he's
finished
good. He's good.
yeah, I just finished his big series that came out. And then I know that I'm going to run out of books on these ones in the near future because I don't think the next books are ever coming out. So it's good that I have
It
recommendations. So
is, I guarantee you, it is written. And George R. R. Martin decided years ago, I don't want to put up with all the fans complaining. So when I
that's probably
die,
true.
you may release it. But until I die, I don't want to hear this crap.
That's probably very true.
That is, I guarantee you, because he saw the response to the TV series,
Oh,
and
yeah,
probably he was like, "That's my ending."
yeah.
So I don't want to hear it. I'm just going to die, and then you guys can deal with it.
We'll find out, I guess, probably not in the too far future.
He's old and he's fat. He's not
Yeah.
going to be around for very long. I agree. All right, awesome. Yes, I can recommend any founder. When you read fiction, it teaches you two things. One, it teaches you use of the language. That is the most important skill as a founder, particularly in the era of AI, is being able to say exactly what you mean and not something that's a vague gesture in the direction. The other thing proven by psychology researchers at Harvard and Stanford and Yale is fiction teaches you empathy, which is the most important skill to be a good leader because it teaches you how other people think. As long as you're reading in a omniscient or at least omniscient third person or at least good self-dialogue first person, you're getting an insight in other people's minds that makes you think about other people think. It makes you more empathetic. So they're good recommendations, even in that
Interesting.
book.
I've never heard that before. It's cool.
Yeah, there you go. All right, excellent. So if people want to know more about you, Dylan, or more about Soul Gripz, where do they find you online?
You can find me on LinkedIn very easily. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Like I said, I have learning courses on there. So I like LinkedIn. I'm biased toward it. That's the easiest place to find me. Our Instagram is at Soul Gripz Athletics. And then our website is soul-grips.com.
With a Z, I'd note in every case.
Yes. Yes.
Or Z. My Canadianness is showing. I've lived here too long.
That's okay.
All right. And if you are watching this right now and you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to this video. We have more great insights from founders like Dylan coming every week. Thanks for watching Launch Today. We'll see you next week.